Hello, this is Pavel Baturin, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm gonna check the most common photography tips and advices. In my last video I mentioned a lot of photographers and asked you to put in the comments some other photographers I should watch and follow to improve my craft. There was a huge amount of comments and I really appreciate that. Thank you very much for all those suggestions. I tried most of them. I watched a lot of videos from different masters you suggested, and all of them also give some tips about photography, what to do on location and how to shoot, how to find compositions, and this is pretty interesting. I've got plenty of useful information from it. I was wondering, do all these tips work if I follow them to the letter? Let's check. One of the most common tips is that gear doesn't matter. Actually makes sense in my case because my gear is pretty old, pretty average and pretty cheap. This is Fujifilm X-T3 with 50 to 230. Pretty cheap lens with plastic bayonet. Do not buy this lens if you got a chance for something better and something more expensive. And I got this 18 to 55 kit lens. This is a brilliant lens actually, but as you understand, it's kind of old, very old setup, like landscape photography on a budget. Well, yet another very common tip is to find a leading line in your frame. So let's start some practice and I'll try to compose a shot with this trail, beautiful forest trail as a leading line. And same trail probably may work as a subject in this frame. I just like this scene, this little forest scene, and I'll try to compose a shot. CPL filter works just fine in this situation. Next tip is to find some interesting pattern. And I believe those trees down the hill is a beautiful example of this kind of pattern. Take a look. I believe this is an interesting pattern. I'll try to compose a shot. We will see if this tip works for me or not. One extra tip is always bring anti-mosquito spray with you to the forest. I screw this. Take a look. This bug is just awesome. Take a look at this plant, all these mustaches. I believe this plant is freaking interesting. Let's call it the exercise for the advice to find some interesting object, interesting subject. This is my interesting subject. And there was a tip to find some interesting angle to shoot with. Like, do not shoot all the time from your eyes level. Okay, I hope this thing will help me to find some different angle. And also it will help me to check the weather forecast. With dark type of sky in this part of Serbia means that the storm is coming. This is interesting because I'm in the middle of the forest on the top of the mountain, and I'm pretty far away from my car, but the forecast says like I got 30-40 more minutes before this disaster will start. So here is my composition. We see some old tree with the sun, and the sun is blurred because of these stormy clouds. Actually, I don't mind any storm or heavy rain after 2 weeks of extreme heat wave. Right now it's like 35 plus Celsius, and now it's just some kind of wind just started, and this is kind of huge relief. And also there was a tip for forest photography to shoot close-ups, and this is probably the perfect subject for close-ups because it looks like a face. Yeah, this is the best spot, and I've got 200 millimeters. It looks like a wild cherry. But it's not very tasty. It's not tasty, but it's beautiful. I don't know what is the proper tip according to this scene like, but probably it should sound like always get the best out of location. It's damn good for close-ups, because those berries are so bright, so punchy. Actually, I have no idea if any of these tips and tricks may help anyone who cannot check them on practice. With no practice, it doesn't matter. It just makes no sense for someone who has no practice. That's why it's so important to keep trying all the time. And of course, my today's exercises are just, I'm just having fun. Okay, it's just, why hell not? I'm in a beautiful forest, and I watched tons of photography videos after posting my video about Masters of Photography on YouTube. So again, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for joining me this week. I'll do all my best to bring you some interesting piece of content every other Monday, 2 p.m. Central European Time. Ciao for now. The question is, okay. Freaking mosquitoes.